Hello and welcome to Stay Sane with Jane. This is season 2, interviewing local legends of Dorset. Tune in every Wednesday at 11 a.m. to help you and your business thrive, not just survive. And let me introduce my guest. Just bear with me, a little technical issue, and here we are. Let me introduce my lovely guest here, who I've just muted by mistake. Saira Francis, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
You own the wonderful Mellulah Mind, Body and Spirit company, doing yoga, blissful days and weekend retreats in the UK.
Yes.
You've been in the industry for nearly 20 years now with yoga, meditation, healing and therapies, and of course running your wonderful yoga retreats around rural Dorset. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Inviting me, Jane. It's lovely to be here today.
Thank you. And this is episode 1 of Local Legends. So tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I'm a mum. I've got 3 children. They're all pretty grown up now. My youngest was actually 18 yesterday. So I guess I'm kind of now in the grown up children thing. So living at home. I live over just north of Dorchester in Dorset. And yeah, I've been working in this field since 2004. And then I finally made the full transition into it in 2007. So I used to work in fashion. That was my training. That's what I'd done all through my life. That was my passion. Done that working in London and things. And then 2003 moved to Dorset and I had a bit of an awakening. It had been building since about 1998. Things started to happen for me. It was quite strange, how these things can start to sort of come in, feeling energy and also looking for alternatives for myself, having had children and having a few issues like, digestive problems, allergies, and looking for alternatives like down the homeopathy route, acupuncture. And so when I then started to have these kind of experiences, I was, it really opens up my sort of broaden my horizons on what was available. And then in 2004, I had quite a massive sort of spiritual experience, basically, which changed my life. It happens a lot, I think, to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And my mum, actually, she said, right, I think you should do a Reiki course because you need to try and frame this somehow. You need to try and find a way to sort of understand what's happening to you. And that was it. I was on a Reiki course within a few months in Poole because by this point I'd moved to Bournemouth.
Yeah,
in Bournemouth for a couple of years, and that was it really. And then I did all my training in holistic therapies with Denise Brown, who has since moved away, but she's an incredible healer and therapist. So I did all my training with her. And then I'd always done yoga. So I'd done yoga since I was quite young. And then when I moved to London and had children, I found an amazing, very spiritual yoga teacher. So from the age of 25, I was lucky enough to sort of be introduced to that kind of more of the Indian philosophy and the sort of the background.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so I was really lucky there. And then when I came to Dorset, also found some amazing teachers in Bournemouth. We are really blessed in this area, even back then,
really are.
We're so blessed now. And so the yoga, I actually started my retreats in 2011. That was after moving, and I was living on a farm, and the guy who owned the farm, he just liked the idea of trying something like that, which again was just pure pot luck. It was just so and I wasn't actually teaching yoga at that point. So I had yoga teachers coming in to help me run the retreats, and I was doing more of the spiritual side. That was my route, really. I was kind of really into meditation. I was really into the healing, and then I did my yoga training, and the rest is history. So the retreats have been running for 12 years now, since 2011.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and now I live here in this lovely little cottage in a sweet little village between Dorchester and Yeovil. Only been here a year. And yeah, I'm a single mum, and yeah, life is good and peaceful. And yeah, I feel really blessed to be doing this work, and for to be doing it as long as I have, and for it to sustain us, as a family. I've been able to support myself and the children all these years doing this, which
And
is
that's amazing, isn't it? Because within this business, the Harmony Business Academy that I run, that's, I'm a single mum as well with a Therapies business.
yeah,
That's my other business. And then within the Harmony Business Academy, I help women to be sustainable in
yes,
their wellness businesses, because there's so many out there that aren't. And it's really sad, because if you love what you do, you're passionate about what you do, you're really good at what you do,
yeah.
it should be sustaining, right?
It is really hard, and as I say there, as I sort of tell you the sort of quick story, there was a lot of luck involved, but I also think that we it's not just luck, is it? I
It's
think
not
that
just luck.
we have a
Yeah.
path. Yeah, we have a path, and we're here, and we're invited really into this sort of work. Because we're interested, and then we find maybe we have a bit of a gift, and then it grows. And so I mean, I teach Reiki as well. I have a lot of Reiki students at the moment, and a lot of them are in that sort of transitionary time of trying to sort of give up the day job and move fully into working with the healing. And it's quite scary, especially when you've got children. It's a lot of women have
Yes, it
families,
is.
and whether single or in a relationship, it's still that kind of big step, isn't it, of making that transition.
Yeah.
We have to trust, but also we have to be sensible. We have to pay bills.
Yes, we do have to be sensible. I remember when I left, I worked at the London Ambulance Service previously. And I was doing this part-time and that part-time. And at one point I was like, no, this is it. I have got to leave. I cannot stand this anymore. So I put my notice in. But what I did is I didn't have to give 3 months notice, but I said, look, this is what I'd like to do. Would you accept 3 months notice? Because I know if I hand it in, then I've got 3 months to really build and work towards. And it worked. And I've been, fully sustaining myself and my daughter and my house for the last 7 years.
Yeah. It's tough, but I mean, life is unpredictable, isn't it? We never know what's going to happen. So even if you have a job, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to keep that job. People, so it's just about stepping into it, isn't it? And feeling that power. And I do think when we make that commitment and that decision to do this work, there is another energy that comes along and supports us in that. And if we're prepared to surrender and really listen to the guidance as well, I always say to my Reiki students, don't wait for the right moment. Don't wait to have, okay, I've got 10 clients. Just do it. Just start, and as you did, that do that sort of time where you're doing both,
isn't it?
the time when you're like, okay, both feet in both sort of, for a little while until you feel brave enough to make that step fully. But it's hard when you desperately want to do this kind of work and you feel trapped. I feel that's really difficult when you're having to get up and do a job that you're not enjoying, knowing and wishing that you could work with the energies and help people every day. So
definitely. And that comes into a lot of mindset work and being and kind of gratitude practice. Because I started to go down the pit of, I hate the job, I hate going into London and all of this. And of course, what was it doing? It was keeping me stuck. So when I reframed it and changed my mindset around it, and I was like, actually, this is really positive. I get to go up to London. I love seeing the Shard every morning as I'm walking into work. I love this. I love being so close to the Thames that I could just go for a little walk at lunchtime. I love this. I love that. And then within, probably a month of doing all this gratitude practice, I was able to hand in my notice.
That's amazing. That's really good. Yeah,
So
that's amazing.
it really does work,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
it was. I think I was kind of lucky because when I started, I was young. My children were young. I'd recently come out of a marriage, and I kind of didn't have anything really. I was renting. I didn't have anything, so it was almost like I didn't have to make a leap from like having a, because the trouble is when we build up to, everything's, the bills are expensive, the car's expensive,
Yes.
then to make the leap. So I think I was quite lucky because I came in from sort of the bottom, I literally had nothing to lose. And because the children were all quite little, they two of them weren't even at school when I started. So, I had that space to sort of build it up financially. I wasn't taking a massive risk. And then over the years, as I say again, there was just so much luck involved where I haven't had to take many risks. I do more now that I'm hiring big venues for retreats and things. So it's my dog's ears poking up. There is more risk involved, but obviously now I'm more confident in that because I know I've got the people that want to come. But for running the retreats for years, it wasn't till 2017 that I took the risk of hiring a big venue and sort of putting that few £1,000s in, and then fingers crossed that people are actually going to come, and thankfully they did. But it is hard. And I also I run training days for people who want to run retreats. I do that locally.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's been really popular.
It's a bit of a jump, isn't it? Like I said to you, I would love to start running retreats, but it feels like a big jump for me to kind of create a retreat and to do all of the the hiring and the this and the that. Like I could put on workshops, fine, I'm really great at that, but a retreat, a 3-dayer, I don't know, it's a big jump from 4 hours, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's huge. And it is that massive, like, oh my goodness, this venue is going to cost me like, well, 2, 3, 4,000 probably, to find somewhere big enough. Are people going to come? Am I going to be able to cover my costs? And so I run retreats, a retreat, like a workshop day basically. And at the end of the last one I did, everyone was like, you've just given away like all your secrets. And I was like, it's okay, it's like,
but you see that's the gift of a good teacher, somebody that doesn't hide everything, and it's more new earth business, isn't it? Which I resonate with.
Rather than kind of hoarding everything, feeling like this is mine. It's like, well, no,
this is mine. I'll give you this little tidbit, and then you'll have to pay me for the next course and the next course and the next course.
No. This was actually like we did it for £30 for the day, including lunch.
Amazing.
Yeah, we did yoga gong and then a sort of talk that was meant to be an hour. It ended up being about 2 hours because I had so much. And then I sort of gave them all the class notes afterwards. And I see online, quite a lot of the ladies and guys that came, I see their Instagram posts, they're all kind of going for it and, trying it. So that's great. And I think you do need to start with days. I think days is a good way to experiment with it and to build up a little bit of a client base. But then, and I think a lot of yoga teachers do day retreats, but then stepping into the weekend is the next big step.
Yeah. And do you find collaboration is the key with the longer weekends? Or
I used to, well, when I started, obviously I was collaborating because I wasn't qualified in yoga teaching at that point. So I had a lovely lady from the Purbex, Jodie. She used to come and do the yoga. But over the years, and then for 10 years, Preet Kaur, who plays gong, she's like the guru of gong in the South. She's amazing. She teaches everyone as well. So we did all our retreats together, but she'd come in, I've never really shared like the responsibility or the scheduling or the formatting. It's always been a bit like something I've just done. I think because I've done it for so long, I kind of know what works and I can get a feel for that. But inviting people in has always been a big part of it. And in 2019, she's a Kundalini yoga teacher, and she just said, Sarah, she wanted to start going her own way, doing her own thing, and there just wasn't time to come and help me. So she trained me. So now I play the gong. So yeah.
Oh,
so
that's amazing.
yeah, but I have a team. On a weekend retreat. You definitely need a team. I have a retreat manager who does everything behind the scenes, and then I obviously have the caterer, and I choose caterers who can take the responsibility of all of it. You know, they turn up, they serve it, they help at the end. You know that. And then I have a team of therapists who come in and do things. But the yoga and I found over the years that actually sometimes it's better for it to just be one person who's holding the space for like the yoga, the meditation, because sometimes it can feel a little bit like too many different energies for the group. But I think when you're starting, and if you've got someone who works with you in a really similar way and collaborating, you're on the same level about where you're coming from. I mean, I've never had any issue. I still do have people come in. I have a lovely lady come and do Koya. I used to have a lovely lady come in and do some yin. But sometimes, especially when you're trying to do quite deep sort of healing work, the group quite like it to just be you, so that it kind of flows on.
Almost like a cocoon, a cave. It feels safer probably than people coming and going.
And when people are, I mean, if it's quite a lightweight isn't really the right word to describe a yoga retreat, but if you're trying to go too deep. But I run a lot of retreats for like vagus nerve reset, trauma healing, nervous system. People are coming with quite heavy issues sometimes, and if they share something, you kind of need to maybe then hold that space for them throughout. So yeah, I think it can work both ways. I think, you know, everyone works differently, and that's just what's kind of evolved for me. But yeah, you definitely can't do it on your own.
No, you'd go mad, right? I have a tendency to spin too many plates and take too much on.
I used to do that. I've got better. And actually, when I've run retreats away a few times, I did one in Morocco, I've done a few in Devon, I don't need a helper because they organise the catering, they organise everything for you. So you're just turning up. So there's a lot of retreat venues that are retreats, and you just literally go in and you just hold your classes. But I'll still take someone with me like a friend. Like, I won't pay them. I'll just say, look, come, enjoy it. Have a free space. Maybe they have to pay £100 or so for the food, but just come and be there, because at the end of the day, you kind of need someone there for you, because you've been holding space for everyone for like 16 hours. You kind of need to just have a bit of a cup of tea and can I just like tell you my stuff for a second?
Yes.
But you can't do that. You know, obviously when you're with the guests, you are totally putting yourself on hold. You emotions, forget it. Stuff going on in your life, forget it. It's all got to go for that whole 3 days. And I can do that really well. But if there's an option for someone to come along with me, I will take that.
You can have a little download at the end of the day. That makes total sense.
But, you know, not if I'm on a retreat and I've got my retreat manager, then I'll make sure they're also someone that I can, you know, have a little. There's not anything particular, but just to have someone you can go to and go, oh my goodness, I'm really tired, and they can say, look, I'll make you a cup of tea, you know, that kind of thing. It is it's full on, and you need to be prepared for that. I think for that sort of intensity to do a good job.
So if we were to work together, what would it look like? So you've explained a little bit about the retreats, the retreat workshops, like learning how to do a retreat. So perhaps let's say I'm a client who has come across your website and I'm really interested in what you do. What happens next?
Okay, so I would people do get in touch a lot and say, I'd really like to work with you. What can I do? You know, people aren't always quite sure what's going to be best for them. Like, I've got a few people coming over the next few months for one-to-one work, you know, private retreats where they'll stay locally and come to me because I have a treatment room at home. I'm in it today, you know. And so that's sometimes an option, particularly for someone who's maybe had a really hard time and not sure how they'll manage in a group. Because obviously retreats are quite sociable. They don't have to be, you know, there's always an option just to take it easy. But yeah, so we would basically, that would be the first thing. If someone wasn't quite sure how best to work with me, we'd go through those options, either a group. And then, you know, there's so many retreats that I offer, day retreats. I've just done a lovely one just last weekend in Dorset, 2-day retreat with the option to either come for 1 day or 2 days. And then there's the option to maybe start with a day. A lot of people do that just to get to know me. Obviously, you know, it's a big investment financially to go on a weekend. I do some really affordable ones for like, you know, £400, but others, they're going up to like 1,000 for sort of like 3 or 4 nights. So people want to sort of check out, you know, if they connect, because it's all about that, isn't it? It's all about getting that connection with the person who's holding the space for you. So we go through that and then look at all the different options, because I run retreats that all have very different feels. I'm a bit nomadic. I'm not very good at staying at one place. I used to run all my retreats in one place for 6 years. And there's so many now. And there's so many venues and areas, and Devon and Cornwall and Morocco. And so we'd probably then look at, you know, which would be the right one. Because you know, I have one venue, Middle Piccadilly in Dorset, which is tiny. It only has 4 rooms. And that's really nice for some people who are looking for something a bit more intimate. So I have a few day guests come on that. I'll invite a few non-residents, but there's only a maximum of 8. So for someone who's maybe a little bit introverted or
that could be nice, couldn't it?
Yeah, that's really nice. And it's not kind of, there's no pool, there's no spa, there's nothing like that there. It's a really authentic retreat. It's been running since the 80s and it's family run.
Wow.
It's like super simple, but if you're looking for simple space, lots of resting and deep healing, that would be great. And then I've got other venues that are, I've got one coming up in November at Launceston Farm near Blandford. That's it's a bit bigger. It's about 12 people. It's got a pool, a sauna. It's much more luxurious. Same sort of format, but that's an option. But then I also do these, the vagus nerve reset and nervous system trauma healing retreats.
Tell me a little bit more about that, because obviously, well, not obviously, you might not know, I do sea dipping. I dip all year round, and obviously that really helps the vagus nerve. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I came to all of this last year because I found out that I have a little bit of a trauma disorder, complex PTSD. So I didn't know I had it. It's been, I've had it for many, many years. And something happened in my life last year that kind of was a bit, I call it my life earthquake. And it caused me to really start to look at what was happening. And so I started to look into, I got told I had this, I was having psychotherapy. And basically I've always worked in a way that what works for me, I'll pass on. You know, I've never just sat down, done a course, read a book. Oh, now I'm going to share that. It's like, no, this helped me. I promise you this works because it works.
That's exactly the same as me. All of my therapies.
It's always the same. And if I do something new, for myself, I get really excited, like, oh, this is so powerful. I need to share it with everyone. You know, this is so exciting. This is like going to transform things for you. So that's always been what I've done. So I feel like actually on a very deep spiritual level, I was given this trauma in order to heal and transform. Obviously, you know, it's an ongoing journey, as it is for all of us. I think we've all got a spectrum of trauma. Everyone, haven't we? From mild to severe. We're all living in that sort of world. But yeah, so everything I was doing for myself and all the research and the work I was doing, I then started to put into a retreat, which I ran the first one back in May. It was so popular, it fully booked. It was just a day. I'm doing another one in October, a 2-day one, because I knew, you know, it's so popular again. I think I've only got 4 spaces left. And then next year, I decided to put it into a residential. So that had been an idea for quite a long time. I thought I'd always known I want to do something a bit deeper to really help people with their traumas. But now that I've kind of framed my own experience into understanding trauma disorders, trauma responses, survival mechanisms, and this vagus nerve reset, which is the magic, isn't it? You know, this is how we actually can give you a tool, whether it's cold water therapy or breath work, all kinds of exercises. I've been studying polyvagal theory, really getting into this and finding, wow, this is, and because I have emotional flashbacks, which are now luckily almost non-existent, thankfully, after sort of 15 months of really intense work. So again, I can say it works, because I was getting a lot of them. I can, if I feel something coming on in my own body, I recognize my body's holding that. I can try something out. I'm like, oh wow, that really works. So yeah, it's really exciting, because again, it's finding something that you can offer people, and they can put it in their healing toolkit, take it home, and bring it out when they need it. Because often, you know, sometimes I found a few years ago on retreats, I used to do a meditation at the end of each one to say, take your retreat home with you. Don't feel that this is something you're coming and doing, a 3-day thing or a day thing, and then you're just going to go home to life. It's like we've got to try and sort of alchemize, haven't we, and sort of bring that energy into everyday life, to help us manage. Because otherwise, you feel great for 2 or 3 days, you go home, you feel great for another 2 or 3, and then the phone rings or the email or the something, you know, that happens, and bam, you're back in it. So it's about this vagus nerve work. Feels like it's really powerful to offer people as something that they can take home. And I'm also I've made a few videos. I've been putting them on my Instagram channel, little short sort of reels, for some of the resets that you can do. And then the plan is to make a sort of a full YouTube video that I'll then hand out and give to anyone who comes on the retreat, so that they can go home and keep working with it 20 minutes a few times a week, perhaps, or a few minutes a day, to try, because you can eventually you know, heal this. And just to know, you can be driving along in the car and suddenly you start to feel a trigger, or you're heading into a meeting or the headmaster's office or something, and you know, oh, I'll remember that little breathwork thing, or I'll do that little ear massage, or I'll tell, you know, because I think we're recognizing now that for a long time, certainly in my work, it was all about positive thinking and positive affirmations, and that was what you did to try to heal. But I think we're recognizing now that that is not enough. And for someone who's got trauma, which is becoming more and more recognized as a real issue, we need physical tools that we can use to try to bring the body. It's that dysregulation, isn't it? And the nervous system needs to find that balance. So yes, I'm really excited about that. And next year I put quite a few dates in for that. So that's going to be great.
That is amazing. Well, thank you. Have you got any kind of advice or tips for the audience that they can implement immediately? What I like to do in this kind of section of the show is to hand out information that can, you know, like a simple breath work, something that's free, that's there for all of us, because there's so much, and a lot of people just don't know about it, do they?
I do have one. I had a video go viral on Instagram. It's had like more than 150,000 views or something, and
amazing.
And so I'm like, well, people are really getting something from this. It's had I've had like 1,000 followers on my Instagram in a month. I mean, I didn't plan it. It was a complete fluke, but it makes me think, wow, this is not only
it's
needed, and this technique really works. So shall I show it to you?
Yes, please.
So basically it's a combination of 3 yogic breath works and pranayamas. So basically, I'm just going to mind the dog a second. So if I try and talk you through this easily. So basically, I'll talk you through it and then I'll show you, because it's a little inspiration. So you inhale for 4 breaths through your nose, and you're then going to tuck your chin in. So do you know the chin lock, the bandha, where you tuck your chin right in and you feel the sensation in the back of your throat. So the vagus nerve travels down the back of the throat. So it travels down the right side of the neck, but also into the esophagus. So by engaging the back of the throat there, you're actually activating that. You're going to hold your nose and then hold that in for 4. You'll then lift the head and release the nose and exhale for 6. So it's kind of like also finding that longer exhale, which is really powerful. So
and you exhaling out the nose as well?
Yeah, so I won't do it 10 times. Let's just do it twice. Do you want to do it with me now?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
So inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold your nose, tuck the chin right in and hold. 2, 3, 4. Lift the head, release and exhale. 2 out through the nose. 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just do it once more. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold your nose and tuck the chin right in. Feel that sensation in the back of your throat for 2, 3, 4. Lift the head and release out the nose. 2, 3. Slow exhale. 4, 5, 6. Does that feel nice?
I feel zen. Yeah.
So you're going to do that 10 times. And I say to people, count it on one hand. So do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10 times. And that really helps to bring some regulation to your nervous system, helps to reset. So that is one that you can do anywhere. So I do it all the time. I do it at night. Do it. And if you're driving, obviously I'm not going to suggest you take your hand off the wheel, but you can just slightly do it, because I find often in the car that's if my car's a bit old and if it starts sort of making a funny noise or I hit traffic, one of my biggest is because I'm always breaking down. So you can do it just slightly engage, or you can just do the inhale 4, hold, exhale for 6. But that is really good, and I say to people, I'm like, if you're at work or on a course and you just start to feel something, run to the loo, quickly do it in the toilet, you can take that with you anywhere. And people say when I do the full vagus nerve reset on them, it takes about half an hour. People actually say they feel like I've given them some kind of tranquilizer or something. They're like,
oh my gosh. So would this be good before or after a cold water dip, or something completely separate?
Yes, I know the cold water is amazing. I would do it. You could probably do it before. You could do that.
We normally do a little meditation. I lead a meditation or breath work or something beforehand. So this would be a good thing before, and then a C dip.
And then a C dip.
Totally, and then you reset.
Totally reset. Yeah. And just do that regularly. And the powerful thing is, eventually, I'm sure you're finding it as well with the cold water, you do start to regulate. You start to feel over time that this is powerfully actually bringing some balance. So it's like, and then there's a bit of space, isn't there, when you kind of feel like your body, you start to get your body back a bit, because it's so uncomfortable to feel that dysregulation in your body regularly. And then that space, there's room for other things, other kinds of healing and work to release. It's powerful.
Yes, a lot of people that do the sea dipping, and myself included, experience when they're feeling kind of a little bit stressed. And then when we do the meditation, we go into the sea, and when we come out, we're like a new person. And if you have to time it right afterwards when it gets super cold, that you have to make sure you get warm, and you get something warm in you, and maybe some food as well. The old woolly hat. So if you time all of that right, you're buzzing for the rest of the day. You feel amazing. I
missed it this summer, because this summer the sea hasn't been cold really, has it? And now I'm going this afternoon. Luckily my children are all really into it, so I'm meeting my son after college and we're going down, because it's just now starting to cool a bit, isn't it? So you're starting to actually really get that kind of it's euphoric. It's absolutely euphoric. I mean, we go all year, and it was such a powerful part of my healing last year. I was in there probably every other day throughout the sort of up until April, and it was just a massive. So I'm hoping one of the retreats I'm doing is near Charmouth, down near in West Dorset, and we're a 40-minute walk from the beach. So one of the days we're going to go down, and
that's a good idea. Yeah,
that's the first one's in March, so it'll be really cold. That's the coldest month of the year, isn't it? March?
You'll be around 6 degrees. It might have started to come up a bit. It might be 8 degrees by then,
depending on.
I think it will be a cold winter, because this summer the sea didn't heat up as much as it did last year.
No.
So it is going to be a colder sea dipping winter for sure.
We're going to be Hi from the sea.
We are gonna love it.
Oh, that's great.
So, do you have an offer or, upcoming retreats you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, so this is actually something that's coming up that is a little bit different from some of the retreats that I've been talking about. So I've recently teamed up with a lovely healer called Adrian Lee, and he does some trainings in clearing your Akashic records, and yeah, it's really exciting. So I did my training with him earlier in this year, and that's another thing that I'm bringing into my retreats next year. The trauma healing retreats that I'm doing in March and June next year, I'm offering the clearing as a part of that, because it's really powerful, clearing karma.
Amazing.
So we've teamed up and we're starting to do some training courses together. I'm doing one in December, which might be too late for when this goes out, but we'll see. It's on the 9th of December. It's on my website. But on the 13th and 14th of January, we're doing a weekend in Glastonbury together. So on the Saturday, we'll be clearing the Akashic records with Adrian.
Yeah.
He'll teach you how to do it on yourself. And if you're someone who is already a healer or a therapist and you want to add another sort of string to your bow to help your clients, you'll have the training and the qualification to help other people with that. Then on the Sunday, I'm sort of extending my Reiki training courses that I do with a course specifically. It's called Activating Your Awakening. So it's about trying to help people really wake up at their third eye, whether they're already feeling that that's starting to happen for them, or whether it's kind of something they're just really keen to get going. I'm going to spend the day sort of working with that, and we're doing an early bird offer, which is a huge discount. It's 188 for the whole weekend, and the full
That's
price,
amazing.
the full price will be, I think Adrian's day will be 199 alone, and mine will be 99. So it's a really good deal. So you can book that for 188, and it's going to be lovely. And you can maybe book a place in Glastonbury and spend the weekend there. We'll try and maybe, if the weather's kind, we'll do a walk up the tour and a visit to the well as part of the at the end of the day with the group. So I'm really excited about that. So yeah, I hope that some of your audience might want to take us up on that offer.
Yeah, I think I want to take you up on that offer. Yes. So this retreat is for people that are going into the spiritual kind of holistic world, but it's also for people who are already in there and maybe they're healers, practitioners like myself.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did a training day with Adrian back in July. I wanted to, I'd had some sessions with him because he'd been recommended by Diana Cooper and my dear friend Pam Gregory, the astrologer. They've both spoken really highly about Adrian. And I was like, I'm going to try this. It was amazing. So I had 2 sessions with him and I was completely bowled over by how rapid my healing journey suddenly kind of like increased, it went into like 6th gear.
Wow.
And then I said to him, I really want to learn how to do this. I've learned something that's amazing for me. I want to share this with my clients and yogis and retreat guests. And there was me and one other friend, and we were like, we'll get him to come down and do a 2-to-1, a sort of like a private day. And then I started to talk about it with, obviously my social group is all very much therapists, healers, and everyone was like, oh, I want to do that. And it ended up being 14 of us. There were 14. And
amazing.
Shamanic healers, kinesiologists, massage therapists. Quite a few of them are my Reiki students. A couple of ladies who don't really do anything like this. They were just interested and sort of came along. And we've all been working with it since. And it's going to be amazing. It's so powerful, this clearing. You can clear soul contracts. You can clear poverty contracts, military contracts, vows that you might have made in past lives. So a lot of it is past life work to just clear karma. And I call it an energetic car wash. That's what it feels like. It feels like you're going into this kind of like car wash with all this like stagnant energy, and you come out like fresh, clean. You feel so much lighter. And obviously, as a healer or a therapist, or just an ordinary person who's interested, when you start to get into this deeper spiritual work, there's sort of a need to be more open at your third eye, because obviously if you're your past lives and you need to have that intuition quite well switched on to sort of to get the feel as you're going through the clearing, you start to get feelings, you start to get senses, and it's about learning to trust that. So that's the part that I'm going to be teaching. And also I'm going to go a bit deeper into helping people who have perhaps, the sort of starseed idea of those of us who've come back to earth at this time as we go through this transition. A lot of us have suffered trauma in past lives because of this work. Over centuries, we
witch wounds,
persecution, brutality, as well as being ostracized from society. So I'm going to do some work on clearing around that as well, to help specifically clear those kinds of energies that might create fear about standing up and speaking out. Those sort of the throat chakra closes, I feel that this is my sole purpose, but I'm a bit scared to actually start saying it, and I might lose friends, and to help people kind of clear that energy as well.
That's amazing. I think it's so needed. There's a huge awakening going on our gorgeous planet. And so many people are creating businesses that are going to be, or already are, pillars of light, and that are healing the globe and the global collective.
It's so exciting. I mean, it's uncomfortable, isn't it? It's really uncomfortable what we're going through. I mean, I've sort of moved quite far back now from the world, if you know what I mean. I've kind of got rid of the television, and I'm lucky, I suppose, that doing this work, we are surrounded by a lot of like-minded people, aren't we? But that does help. I think over the last few years, we've really found our communities and come together a lot more. But it's just amazing, isn't it, how many people now are starting to wake up. And I was saying when we were chatting at the beginning, when I started out, this was so it wasn't mainstream, it was quite an unusual thing to do, and a bit of a hippie thing, and now it's
quite a trendy thing, isn't it?
And people say to me well, there's just so many yoga teachers, there's so many retreats, and I was like, yes, but there's also so many people that want to do that. It's not like we're saturated. It's it's becoming pretty common to go for a treatment, to go on a retreat. I mean, going on a spa weekend is now going on a yoga weekend. It's going on a Reiki course is, it's, I mean, when I used to have to talk to my Reiki students when I started years ago about that discomfort that we can have around talking about Reiki. But now they sort of shrug their shoulders like, oh yeah, well, Reiki's just, everyone talks about it, energy healing. And it's not, obviously there's still a little bit of that, but it's amazing what's happening and how many people are awakening. And it's wonderful that there's so many workshops, courses, retreats, events to help people start to put some framework around what is happening for them. The teachers and the healers who've perhaps been through their awakening, got to a place where they've done a lot of their own healing, and then they can invite people in and support them who are just beginning on that journey, and hopefully guide them through it as best we can too.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. Exciting times we're living in. And I just want to thank you for, one, coming on the podcast, but two, for shining your light so brightly and helping so many people over the nearly 20 years that you have been in business.
Oh, thank you, Jane, for this lovely podcast that you're sharing. I'm sure it will help a lot of people as well.
I hope so. Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jane.
So this will air, and whether you're listening or you are watching, Sarah's details are going to be above or below. There'll be a link to her website and how to get in touch with her and her offers. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for watching Stay Sane with Jane. This is season 2, Local Legends. Tune in every Wednesday at 11 a.m. So now we're going to shift gears a little bit and do a mindful meditation. I'm your host, Jane Scanlan, and I'll be taking you through a mindful meditation. As we've been talking about overcoming trauma on the podcast Stay Sane with Jane, we're going to tune into this guided meditation, cultivating a sense of urgency to overcome trauma. So I invite you to just get comfortable and bring kind awareness to what this topic means to you, what visceral feelings it might bring up, and any positive or negative impact you may believe regarding this topic. And just remember that there are plenty of other people out there that feel just like you about this subject. There is no right or wrong here, okay? So this is a mindfulness exercise designed to help you overcome the harmful effects of trauma and give you a stronger sense of self-urgency and control over how you feel related to your trauma. As you listen to this exercise and all the mindfulness exercises, please remember you're in control of your experience, and you can do as much of it or as little of it as you wish. No matter what kind of trauma you may have gone through, large or small, physical, sexual, mental, emotional, or spiritual, our trauma involves an incapacity to stop a terrible thing from happening to you. Regardless of blame or misfortune, it involves an incapacity to stop something terrible. Sometimes this truth can wear on our psyche. So recovering from trauma may require that you, at some point, increase greater strengths and more capacities within. Remember how powerful you are and how important your decisions are. In this general way, it may also be useful to do this kind of work with a therapist. But on your own, with guidance from myself and your heart, we can work through this. There may be natural, common feelings or beliefs of entrapment, helplessness, immobilization. And to some degree, you may not feel like you can escape the awfulness of it. One thing that has helped thousands of others who live with incredible trauma is to be mindful of your own experience of what we call an agency. Of simply being able to make something happen with your own free will and a sense of empowerment. Build upon your agency one building block at a time, until there's nothing you feel you can't take on. With your embodied strength and kindness that is always inside you. Another common feature of trauma is feeling fearful of communicating with confidence or assertiveness. So, reflecting on experiences when we've done this several times in the past can also be useful. This can help us remember our best self, to know that we have the capacity to take on challenges with strength and confidence. This provides the mind with the belief that you are greater than your past, bigger than anything that's happened to you, and that you are not your trauma. You are much more, and that you can shape your future to be as bright and as healthy as you desire. Agency is just a fancy term for a feeling of being able to make things happen. If you feel a little bit powerless, helpless, trapped, immobilized, defeated, or despairing, then this practice of agency can help you turn the tide. To reawaken the feeling of what it's like to make things happen, rather than be fearful of what might come next. So with that in mind, we will practice feeling a sense of agency in a guided mindfulness exercise together. So please find a posture that feels relaxed and alert. Breathe deeply through your nose, filling up your lungs, feeling your belly rise, holding it at the peak, and then slowly releasing it through the nose until your lungs are fully deflated, pausing and then inhaling another 2 times. And now reflect on a time in your life when you felt really good about having attained a goal. What goal do you feel really proud of? What choices and actions did you make? What were some of the little things that led up to it? As you ruminate over that goal, over that achievement, consider how you've added value in situations or to other people from that achievement. And now I invite you to reflect on some things that you get done over the course of a day. that you might not even congratulate yourself on, but you do them nonetheless. Recall ways in which you influence others positively, or how you've played a leadership role, perhaps in a family, or friendships, or business. Bring mindfulness to some of the positive choices you've made, all empowering experiences that lead to a greater feeling of accomplishment or agency. See if you can open to this feeling and let it fill you. Help it last and allow it to become more intense in your mind, your heart, and your body. You have made things happen. You are competent. You are effective, and you will continue to be so. Bring mindfulness to any other feelings that may arise around this achievement, like a sense of dignity or self-respect. Perhaps the energy of possibilities. And if you happen to feel any resistance to this sense of success or worth right now, that's okay. It is completely normal. See if you can gently bring your mind back to remembering some of the good feelings that you felt in your life. Maybe after you've done something you're really proud of doing. Feel this sense of accomplishment. Allow it to sink in. And remember that you can tap into this feeling anytime you remember it. You can also sense what it will be like to accomplish more, or to feel accomplished. Even with the little tasks that you do every day. When you feel satisfied with meeting your goals or steps. These contribute to your well-being and the well-being of others. I invite you to open to the reality that you can build on a foundation of what you've already done or achieved. And step by step, you can build this agency. Let ease spread through your body and mind, and release any pressure. Then, if there's a sense of fragility somewhere within your consciousness, it can be useful to imagine nurturing a person, and that person is holding you as a child, reassuring you that you have reached your goals, you have achieved, you are special, you are powerful, and that you get things done and make a difference. They thank you for your courage to remember who you really are. And to bring mindfulness to the sense of agency that you have and have always had inside you, ready to unleash at any time. Take a deep breath with me. In through the nose, filling up the lungs, feeling the tummy rise and holding it at the peak. And when you're ready, letting it go, letting the air out the nostrils, feeling the tummy tighten and all the air exhaled. Let's do a couple more deep breaths like that. And then return to your normal state of breath. So to recap, please remember, along with your trauma, there may be natural common feelings or beliefs of entrapment, helplessness, and immobilization. To some degree, you may feel like you can't escape the awfulness of it. Agency. It's just a fancy term for a feeling of being able to make things happen. To cultivate a sense of agency, remember a time when you felt accomplished or successful or loved. Or pay attention to the little things that you do each and every day. The things that make a difference to yourself and the people around you. You are powerful. You are loved. And I invite you to just tune into this on a daily or weekly basis. And I hope it's helpful to you. Thank you for listening and have a mindful day.